What happens when one person challenges the very foundations of language and power? Noam Chomsky, linguist, philosopher, and relentless critic of authority. His ideas have reshaped how we understand language and question the structures of power that govern our world. From revolutionizing linguistics with his theory of universal grammar to dissecting the complexities of media and politics, Chomsky's legacy is both profound and enduring. Join us as we journey through the life of a man who not only decoded the complexities of the human mind, but also held a mirror to society's deepest flaws. Explore the epics of his relentless inquiry, from groundbreaking linguistic theories to fearless political activism. Welcome to the story of Noam Chomsky. Early life and intellectual foundations. Noam Chomsky was born on December 7, 1928 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, into a middle-class Jewish family. His upbringing in a culturally rich environment fostered his later interest in linguistics and politics. His father, William Chomsky, emigrated from Ukraine and became a respected Hebrew scholar, while his mother, Elsie Simonovsky Chomsky, was a teacher and social activist, encouraging free thought and political engagement. Chomsky's early fascination with language and politics began at a young age. He read newspapers at 5 and wrote articles on fascism by 10. The rise of fascism and Nazi atrocities significantly shaped his worldview, and he developed an interest in anarchism, particularly inspired by the anarcho-syndicalist movement. He enrolled at the University of Pennsylvania at 16, initially exploring various disciplines before focusing on linguistics. There, he studied under Zelig Harris, a prominent structural linguist. While influenced by Harris, Chomsky later diverged to develop his own theories. His philosophical interests were also shaped by thinkers like Descartes and Wilhelm von Humboldt, leading him to challenge behaviorist theories of language acquisition, particularly those proposed by B.F. Skinner. During this time, Chomsky met Carol Doris Schatz, a fellow linguistics student, whom he married in 1949. After earning his bachelor's degree in 1949 and a master's in 1951, his doctoral work at Harvard set the stage for his impactful contributions to linguistics. At Harvard, he worked with influential figures in philosophy and psychology, which led him to challenge dominant linguistic theories and develop a moral and intellectual responsibility that would characterize his career. This combination of influences established him as a revolutionary figure in linguistics and a vocal critic of political systems. Revolutionizing linguistics and political critique. Noam Chomsky's academic career took a transformative turn in 1957 with the publication of Syntactic Structures, a groundbreaking work that redefined linguistics. At that time, behaviorism, particularly B.F. Skinner's theories, dominated views on language acquisition, positing that language was learned through imitation and reinforcement. Chomsky rejected this, arguing that language's complexity could not be explained by conditioning. In Syntactic Structures, he introduced generative grammar, proposing that language production and comprehension are governed by inherent rules in the brain, a concept known as universal grammar. He contended that children learn language rapidly because they possess an innate linguistic capacity, a view that contrasted sharply with behaviorist theories that struggled to explain how children generate novel, grammatically correct sentences. Chomsky's theories sparked the cognitive revolution in psychology and linguistics, promoting the idea that humans are active learners with inherent cognitive abilities for language acquisition. This shift influenced various fields, including psychology, philosophy, and cognitive science. Following this work, Chomsky expanded his ideas in aspects of the theory of syntax, 1965, and the sound pattern of English, 1968, co-authored with Morris Howell, solidifying his status in linguistics and laying the foundation for modern language studies. Simultaneously, Chomsky became a vocal critic of U.S. foreign policy, particularly during the Vietnam War. In the early 1960s, he emerged as a leading intellectual voice in the anti-war movement, publishing The Responsibility of Intellectuals in 1967, where he criticized American intellectuals for their complicity in the war and argued that those with knowledge had a moral duty to speak against government atrocities. His critiques of U.S. foreign policy included detailed analyses that exposed imperialistic motives, asserting that the U.S. sought control over Southeast Asia rather than fighting for democracy. This period marked the beginning of Chomsky's long career as a political dissident, challenging U.S. foreign policy in various contexts over the decades. Chomsky also critiqued domestic institutions, particularly the media. In Manufacturing Consent, The Political Economy of the Mass Media, 1988, co-authored with Edward S. Herman, he introduced the propaganda model of media, arguing that mass media supports elite interests by shaping public opinion through selective information presentation. Manufacturing Consent profoundly influenced media understanding, showing how mainstream outlets often reinforce the status quo by promoting narratives favorable to the elite. This work sparked debate and positioned Chomsky as a leading critic of media and communication in modern society. Despite the controversies surrounding his activism, Chomsky remained steadfast in his critiques, which often drew ire from government officials, media, and some intellectuals. He has consistently opposed U.S. interventions worldwide, arguing that they prioritize American hegemony at the expense of human rights and democracy. Chomsky's dual legacy in linguistics and political critique is unique. While his linguistic work is widely celebrated, his political views have polarized opinions. Nonetheless, his unwavering challenge to authority and advocacy for social justice have garnered him respect among activists and critics of U.S. policies. Legacy and continued influence. Noam Chomsky's influence in linguistics, cognitive science, and political thought is profound and enduring. His theory of universal grammar, a cornerstone of modern linguistics, shifted paradigms from behaviorism to a cognitive understanding of language acquisition, asserting that humans are innately equipped for language. This has led to new research avenues in psychology, neuroscience, and artificial intelligence. Chomsky taught at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, for over 50 years, influencing generations of students who became leaders in linguistics, cognitive science, and philosophy. His work has inspired research into language processing and acquisition, continuing to impact fields like psycholinguistics and computational linguistics. In political discourse, Chomsky is a prominent critic of U.S. foreign policy, having shaped perceptions of power, imperialism, and media. His critiques of American interventionism began with his opposition to the Vietnam War and extend to various conflicts, arguing that U.S. policies often prioritize economic and geopolitical interests over democracy and human rights. His theory of manufactured consent, outlined in Manufacturing Consent, The Political Economy of the Mass Media, posits that mainstream media supports corporate and political elites, shaping public narratives to favor the powerful. Initially criticized, this theory has gained relevance in the digital age, reflecting media consolidation and partisan news. Chomsky's activism extends beyond academia, as he consistently advocates for human rights, civil liberties, and social justice. His critiques resonate with anti-war activists, environmentalists, and human rights advocates, even as they attract criticism from political opponents. In recent years, Chomsky's ideas have gained renewed relevance amid increasing polarization, media manipulation, and geopolitical instability. He continues to write and speak on pressing issues, with works like Hegemony or Survival, America's Quest for Global Dominance, 2003, and Who Rules the World, 2016, reinforcing his view that U.S. foreign policy prioritizes hegemony over democracy. Chomsky's influence extends into popular culture, with his critiques featured in documentaries and media discussions about corporate influence and social justice. Despite receiving numerous accolades and honorary degrees, Chomsky often downplays personal recognition, emphasizing the importance of addressing critical issues. He believes intellectuals have a moral obligation to speak the truth and challenge authority, a principle that has guided him throughout his life. His commitment to social justice and skepticism of power have made him a unique figure in modern intellectual history. However, Chomsky's legacy is controversial. Critics label him as unpatriotic or overly critical, while others argue his views on media and power are overly deterministic. Nonetheless, he defends his positions as committed to justice and truth rather than conformity. In the twilight of his career, Chomsky remains an active thinker, engaging with pressing issues like climate change and authoritarianism. His voice continues to influence contemporary thought, shaping discussions about language, cognition, media, and power. Chomsky's legacy embodies both intellectual brilliance and moral courage, contributing foundational insights into language and the mind, while challenging powerful political and media institutions. His career exemplifies the power of critical thinking, dissent, and the responsibility of intellectuals to hold systems of power accountable. From the classrooms of MIT to the global stage of political activism, Noam Chomsky has been a relentless force for change and understanding. His groundbreaking theories reshape linguistics, while his unwavering critiques challenge the very fabric of power and media. Chomsky's legacy is one of intellectual bravery and moral conviction. He has inspired generations to think critically, question authority, and seek truth in a complex world. As we reflect on his life, we recognize that Noam Chomsky is not just a scholar or an activist. He is a beacon for those who strive to understand and improve the world around them. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life and legacy of Noam Chomsky. His ideas continue to illuminate the path toward a more informed and just society.